So just a heads up, right after the review, I'm going to be putting up a list of all the Pixar films that I've seen and rank them from best to worst, and I'm including Incredibles 2 on the list, so be on the lookout for that right after the review.
Gotin Cola.
So just like the first Incredibles movie, Incredibles 2 is directed and written by Brad Bird, and despite being released 14 years after the first Incredibles movie, the sequel takes place directly right after the first, with the Incredible family fighting the Underminer. The first Incredibles movie is one of my favorite movies of all time, and the ending ended on such a big cliffhanger, and I was really looking forward to seeing what they could do next with this superhero family. So naturally, I was really looking forward to seeing the sequel, and I gotta say, it is really, really good. It's not quite as good as the first, but I was expecting that. I was just going to this movie hoping that it would be good, and it is. Brad Bird, once again, does a really good job with directing and writing this movie. The basic premise of this movie is that superheroes are unfortunately still legal, and because of their heroic but destructive actions against the Underminer, the Incredible family gets into a lot of trouble. Thankfully, their actions are received by some positive reaction, mostly by telecommunications tycoon Winston Dever, who hires Elastigirl to go on a heroic mission and film her, saving the day so that it can be released to the public and hopefully earn their trust and superheroes again and make them legal. While Elastigirl is out saving the day, Mr. Incredible must stay at home and be a good dad and take good care of his children. Every scene with Mr. Incredible at home trying to take care of his kids is both funny and somewhat heartwarming, and every scene involving Elastigirl out saving the day is literally, forgive the pun, incredible. Every action scene in this movie is absolutely amazing, and I mean literally every single action scene, fight, whatever, is amazing, and the animation is absolutely, forgive me for the pun again, incredible. The comedic highlight of this movie has to be Jack Jack. Every scene with Jack Jack is absolutely hilarious, especially one involving a raccoon where he uses his powers, his newfound powers, against a raccoon. There were a lot of things about this movie that I liked. The animation, every single action sequence, the scenes at home where Mr. Incredible is at home trying to take care of his kids, this little subplot where Mr. Incredible tries to help Violet win Tony's heart or something like that. If you guys don't remember, Tony was Violet's love interest from the first movie, and he basically gets his memory wiped because he unfortunately witnessed Violet take off her mask while she was fighting the Underminer. Something else that I really liked in this movie is that Frozone, who is one of my favorite characters from the first movie, gets more to do in this movie, and everything that he does is really awesome. There were a lot of good things in this movie that I really liked, but unfortunately, there were quite a few bad as well. And one of the most notably bad things about this movie is the villain. Now, the villain in the first movie, Syndrome, is one of, in my opinion, the best villains, best antagonists in any movie ever. Syndrome is absolutely amazing, and the villain in this movie, the Screenslaver, is not that great. The motivations behind the Screenslaver's actions are noticeable, and it is kind of cool when the Screenslaver hypnotizes people through monitors and the screenslavers fight sequences along with every other fight sequence in this movie is great, but I just couldn't really get into the screenslaver's character, and I just thought that overall the screenslaver was kind of a weak villain. Something else that kind of disappointed me about this movie is that the film is very predictable. Within the first 15 to 20 minutes watching this movie, I had somewhat of an idea of where the story was going to go and what specific plot points and reveals were going to happen. Also, there was way too much dialogue in this movie. This movie is well written. I can tell that the screenplay was good, but I just thought that there was way too much dialogue, especially expository dialogue. Also, something else I didn't like is that the finale wasn't as enthralling as the first movie, and also some of the characters. Some of the other heroes, especially the hero Screech, were not designed well and, to be honest, looked very creepy. So overall, I really liked Incredibles 2. I thought it was a really fun, awesome movie. There were quite a few glaring flaws to me, but I still really enjoyed it. And I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10.